or sorry, I'm ready to jump to the weekend. I still got one more work day, but I can at least enjoy the evening and get ready for my day tomorrow, and then I can get ready to enjoy the weekend. So you guys let me know when you're on and we will get started for today. Last week we talked about the wandering woman. You know, just how you can be wandering through life, just not knowing your purpose, just doing things, you know, out of routine and just never feel fulfilled in your life. So I really hope you guys got something out of Wandering Woman, and it made you take a look at your own life and made you question some things about yourself. If you're happy, if you're fulfilled, if you feel like you're walking in your purpose, if you feel like you're making a difference. Difference starts with in your home. First of all, you need to make a difference there. And then you need to move outside from there. But first, make a difference in the place where you live. Make a difference around the people that you love. So I hope you got something to help you out of Wandering Woman from last week. And you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started just in the interest of time, because you guys, y'all know I do not like to hold y'all, because we've all got so many things we've got to get done, and it just seems like it's almost, by the time you get off from work, I know that's how I feel. By the time I get off from work, by the time I get a few things done, it's time to go to bed. And then your whole day starts over again. So let me give you some nuggets for today, and then I'm going to send you on your way. And today's topic is you co-signed on that, sis. You know, a lot of things in our life, we don't realize it, but we played a part in it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And the sooner we start recognizing our own part in the situation, that's when we can start make a difference for our future. That's how we can start changing behavior that's going to lead to the same patterns over and over again. I don't know how you guys feel, but I hate having to go through something over and over again, because I just feel like I've wasted time. I just feel like I could have better used my time if I'd have done things a little bit differently. And so I'm trying to pay attention to habits that might be causing me to be in a rut and causing me to go in circles in life. So I'm evaluating my own self. And that's where this came up. You know, God really showed me some things about myself. You know, a lot of times, you know, we talk about what we want to do, but we allow life, we allow distractions, we allow our own lack of confidence to keep us from doing some things in life. And then before you know it, 2 or 3 years have gone by, and then you're like, man, I should have done that back then. And that's, you know, where God is dealing with me on some things that I should have done, you know, a few years ago when I had less of a schedule, you know, when things weren't so busy. And so today is going to be a tough love session, you guys, because I'm going to be tough on myself, and I want to be tough on you guys too, because I want to give us all a reality check. You know, we can't always blame everything that's happened in our lives on other people. You know, part of being a mature adult, especially a mature spiritual adult, is recognizing your part in the situation and trying your best to be better the next time, trying your best to be smarter the next time. So most of what we've complained about, you guys, in our past, what's not going right in our life right now, somewhere down the line, whether subconsciously or consciously, you co-signed on that. And the reason I say that, we have to be honest with ourselves and take some accountability. Sometimes our decisions get us in a whole lot of trouble. And then we wonder why things didn't work out right. Did you make the best decision that you could? It's the question you have to ask yourself. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we make decisions out of our emotions. We make decisions out of anger. We make decisions out of just being impatient. And sometimes we co-sign on our own disappointment. We co-sign on our own hurt and our own hard times just because of the decisions that we've made. And understand that just because you say, well, I didn't do anything, or, you know, I didn't say anything, sometimes that means you agree. You know, especially when there's something that you know that you need to put a stop to. And you just don't say anything, you just allow it to happen. guess what? You're in agreement with that because you could have stopped it, but you didn't, because you didn't want to upset anybody. You didn't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. But then you end up living in your own misery because you didn't take a stand and say, hey, this is not working for me. This is not right for me. I'm not going to continue to do that. So just understand, when you're silent and keeping your mouth closed and going along to get along, you're co-signing on whatever's going on in your life. And so the proof that we co-sign, and I know a lot of people say, I would never co-sign on some of the stuff that happened to me. The reason I say that we co-sign on it, God had to show me this. God's word in Isaiah 54:17 says, no weapon that's formed against us shall prosper. So think of all the things that have happened in your life. Think of all the things that have come against you. Some things were purely because we was in the wrong place at the wrong time, doing the wrong stuff. God tries to protect us, but sometimes our own free will gets us in trouble. So we co-sign on some things, and if we would just stay in the will of God, He is trying to protect us. He does protect us even when we get out of line, but His word is trying to tell us that the weapon is going to form, but it's not going to prosper. A lot of times we help stuff prosper against us that shouldn't even affect us, simply because of our attitude, simply because of whose voice we're listening to, what you're allowing in your eyes, your ears, things that you allow to come out of your mouth. Sometimes we make our own trouble, you guys, no matter how God tries to protect us and keep the weapon from prospering against us. So sometimes we're our own worst enemy. So that dream that you allowed to die, guess what? You co-signed on that. If God says no weapon formed against you shall prosper, if you set your mind to something, you should have been able to bring it to pass, unless you allowed something in life to derail you and keep you from fulfilling the dream, and you just let it die by the wayside. A lot of times we get distracted with life. We start making excuses as to why we didn't do certain things. Those are those things that we allow to form against us. We allow to prosper against us, because we have the tenacity inside of us that no matter what goes on, if we want it bad enough, it will come to pass. But you've got to give up on your dream in order for it to die. Those distractions that we allow to sidetrack us and keep us from being where we wanted to be in life, you co-signed on it. You allowed yourself to be distracted. You went towards the distraction. Something about that distraction you liked, and you went with it instead of staying on course, keeping your eyes focused, keeping your mind on Jesus, just keeping your eye on the prize. A lot of times we've all done that. We've made decisions out of our flesh. We've made decisions just simply because we were tired. Some of us just got lazy. I know I have. I've gotten lazy in the past. So I derailed myself. So therefore, no matter how God keeps trying to not let the weapon prosper, we're allowing it to prosper against us. And then we also co-sign, like I say, those excuses that we have that keep us from moving on to the next level. We got a whole bag of excuses. That's us co-signing on us not getting to where we know we should be. Hey, Christia, where we should be, because we're making the excuses. We're giving the reasons why we can't get there. But God has never told us we can't be this and we can't be that. Those are the things that we tell ourselves. So we co-sign on that. And then all the stumbling blocks that we allow to turn into dead ends. There are things that are going to come up in life, you guys, that are going to push us back for a minute, that's going to just hold us up for a minute. But it's up to you if you allow it to stop you. A lot of times stumbling blocks are just to say, hey, wait a minute, take a minute, you're doing too much, back up, regroup. But some of us allow our stumbling blocks to discourage us to the point where we just give up. And that's not God. God does not give you that spirit of just giving up when things don't go wrong. That's when you got to activate your faith. That's when you've got to trust God even when you can't see him, even when you can't trace him, and just know that if God told you this was for you, it's going to come to pass, but you've got to do your part. Faith without works is dead. So you've got to activate your faith. You've got to keep walking forward, keep doing what you know you need to do in order for it to come to pass. So sometimes we co-sign on our failures simply because we're not willing to do the work that it takes. It gets hard sometimes. You know, God never told us life was going to be easy. It's going to be hard sometimes. But that's why you got to hold on to God's unchanging hand. That's why you got to get in the will of God. That's why you got to pray. That's why you got to get good people around you that can encourage you when you feel like giving up. That is so important, to have people that are truly for you. Not just saying they're for you, then talking behind your back. I'm talking about people that are really for you, that refuse to allow you to give up. If you can get just one friend like that, you don't ever want to lose that friend, because they are so rare, so hard to find. They're almost non-existent, but there are people out there that really do want to see you win, and you just make sure you have somebody like that in your corner. And then we also co-sign by all the times we let other people's opinions change our mind. You co-signed on that. Why was their opinion so important about your life? You have to ask yourself that. What about you that made you value someone else's opinion about your life? So a lot of times we co-sign on that simply by listening to other people. And then all the times we allowed our self-esteem, our low self-esteem, to stop us from doing something we were excited about doing. You know, sometimes, you know, when you have low self-esteem, just the way somebody looks at you, or just feeling uncomfortable in a crowd, will make you change your mind about what you were planning to do. So you're co-signing on that. So those dreams that are unfulfilled, we co-signed on those in some kind of way in our life, because there's no reason that any of us shouldn't be where we believe we should be, or where we dream that we should be. Somewhere along the way, we got off the path, and that's the only reason why we're not where we are, because we co-signed on it. And proof again, God's word says in Philippians 4:13, if you don't believe me, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And there's another scripture that says all things are possible to those who believe. A lot of it is our mindset, you guys. When things get hard, sometimes we'll start doubting ourselves. We doubt ourselves as if God is human like us. God is so much greater than us. So even when you doubt yourself, you shouldn't doubt God. You should move forward simply because God says, I can do all things. And you got to decide. And this is for me too, you guys. You got to decide whose voice you're going to believe. Who are you going to trust? Are you going to trust your little measly mind that gives up when it wants to give up? Or are you going to trust an all-seeing, all-knowing, all-powerful God when he tells you that you can do all things through Christ, and that he's going to strengthen you, and that all things are possible to those who believe? So we've got to stop co-signing on the things in our life that we don't want to happen. And remember, doing nothing is the same thing as agreeing. And in life, we agree to things, like I say, subconsciously and unconsciously. Think about it. When you become friends with somebody, you don't go around asking them, do you agree to get along with me? Do you agree that we're going to be friends? Do you agree that we're going to be nice to one another? No, that's subconscious. You have already co-signed on that when you decided to be friends. Same thing. When you allow that family conflict to go on within your family, within your aunts and uncles and cousins, and you never stand up and you never say anything, you never try to be the peacemaker, guess what? You're co-signing on that, because you're sitting back and watching and talking about it, but you're not being part of the solution. So when you're not trying to fix it, you're co-signing on it, because you're allowing it to happen when you have breath in your body and you have strength in your body and an ability to try to do something to make the situation better. You're co-signing on it. So how do we stop co-signing on negative things in our life? Number one, stop going along or doing things simply because it's popular or because it's trending. That's no reason to do anything, because just like a trend comes in, a trend goes out. And then what are you going to do? Number two, don't stay stuck in a habit of being irresponsible. You know, some people never grow up. They were irresponsible when they were kids, teenagers, and now they're adults, still thinking somebody's got to pick up the slack for them, still making excuses for not doing what they need to do. We need to learn how to grow up and get up and walk in freedom that comes from being disciplined. We've got to discipline ourselves in the natural and in the spiritual, because your life will be better if you get some discipline and some accountability about yourself. And then number three, acknowledge when someone hurts you. Don't sit back and act like something I said didn't hurt you. If it hurt you, you need to say something. Say something to that person. Call that person to the side and say, hey, I don't know how you meant this, but that really hurt me. And tell them why. Don't sit back and hold a grudge and end up with bitterness towards that person, because you're only hurting yourself. We're adults. We should be able to come to someone and say, hey, I'm having a problem, concerning you with this. We ought to be able to talk to one another. We have got to learn how to be effective communicators. This is why there's so much stress and anxiety and so much strife between people, because people don't know how to communicate. And it starts with us, you guys. We've got to be better communicators, and we've got to not allow people to mistreat us. We've got to speak up and let people know when they hurt us, when we feel like we're being taken advantage of, when we don't like, what you've said or what you've done. Learn to open your mouth, because it's going to make your life better. Stop co-signing and allowing people to act any and every way towards you, because when you don't say anything, guess what? It's never going to get better, and it's going to keep happening over and over again. And until you open your mouth, until you stand up to it, then you're just going to have to deal with it. And then 4, stop competing where you don't compare. Quit trying to be like somebody else. God may not have given you the gift that person has. God may not mean for your life to turn out the way their life turned out. Stop competing where you don't compare. You don't know what that person has had to go through to get to where they are right now. There's no sense in competing with anybody else but yourself, because you'll make yourself miserable and you don't even understand most of the time what you're competing about. Okay? Number 5, get rid of the need to impress others. Because a lot of times when we're trying to impress people, we step outside of our character. And sometimes we'll do some things that we normally wouldn't do, and we go too far trying to impress people. And one thing I learned about impressing people, it don't last long. They're going to get bored with you in a minute. They'll be impressed for a little bit, but then they're going to go on to something else, the next big thing. So it's really not worth it. It's better to just be yourself, be honest, and make people accept you for who you are. Number 6, we all need to realize that our actions have a definite consequence. And we got to remember, karma will never lose your address. When you mistreat somebody, when you do somebody wrong, karma may not get you right now, but karma's coming to your house. And it never gets lost. It don't even need a GPS. It's going to find you some kind of way. So make sure that you're treating people the way you want to be treated, so that you're not co-signing on mistreating somebody, co-signing on taking advantage of somebody, co-signing on abusing somebody. We've got to do better, you guys. We're grown-ups. We don't have any excuses for a lot of stuff that we do. But we need to understand that what goes around is going to come back around. And you're not going to like it when the rabbit got the gun. It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. And number 7, make sure you weigh every side of the situation before you get involved. Sometimes people are just so ready to jump into the middle of a situation. All they have to hear is a little bit. That will get you in so much trouble. Because if you don't know the whole situation, you could get yourself hurt. You can get other people hurt. You can embarrass yourself, embarrass other people. Get the whole story before you move on something, you guys. We are at an age of maturity to where we ought to be wiser as we're getting older. So it makes no sense for you to still be getting up and getting caught up in stuff that you were getting caught up in your 20s and your 30s. You know, maturity is a privilege. It's a privilege to get older. And you're supposed to grow wiser as you get older so that you can be an example for somebody else. So stop jumping the gun and jumping into things without doing your research and without knowing every side of the story. Because that's when you'll know you're making the best decisions for that situation. You can't make a decision about something you don't know about. So we've got to be careful about putting our mouth on things and jumping into things that we don't know the whole story about. And then number 8, stop letting your emotions make decisions for you. I know it's hard sometimes, especially when you've been upset, you've been hurt, you're tired, but you got to understand the enemy is back behind you applauding every time you make a decision out of your emotions. Yeah, that's right, Christia. Every time you make a decision out of your emotions, the enemy knows that somewhere down the line there's going to be a problem with that. Because your emotions are fickle, they change, they're unstable. You can't make decisions off of that. And every time that you do that, you're co-signing on whatever problem is going to come after you make that decision. Number 9, we need to start praying to God for protection. Hey, Nancy, even from ourselves. Sometimes we are our own worst enemy, like I said before. You know, especially when we get upset real easily. We make decisions, you know, on a dime. You know, I'm done with this. I'm through with this. You know, you don't know what you're saying sometimes. Sometimes God needs you to be patient and let him work some things out. But if you're always going to jump and make the decisions, why should God even bother? Why should he even bother to make a way? If as soon as an obstacle comes up, then you go crazy with your emotions and start making decisions, temporary decisions, you know, and permanent decisions also over temporary things. So you have to be careful. And sometimes you need to pray to God, especially when you know you have an attitude problem and you have an anger problem. Start praying to God to protect you from you. Help you to be quiet and be still and know that he's God. Help me just to shut up sometime. When I want to go off and I'm just ready to jump in something, stop me from jumping into it. Because every time I jump into stuff, I'm the one that ends up in trouble. I'm the one that ends up suffering for it. So you need to talk to God about you, because a lot of times you are the problem, the main problem. I know I am a lot of times, and I have to talk to God about me, telling me when to move and when not to move. Okay, Karen, don't get in that. Just say okay when you get that text. Don't even get pulled into that. You know, people will pull you into their mess. People will pull you into their situation, and if you're not careful, if you're a caring person, an emotional person, they'll just drag you right in the middle of something that you had no business getting into, because you don't even know all the facts about it. All you know is your friend says they need you and blah, blah, blah. They're going to always give you a piece of the story. So be careful about jumping into situations that you know nothing about. Number 10, if it's not working, y'all, we got to stop doing it. Hey, Cecil, if something is not working in your life, if something hasn't brought you to the point where you're trying to be in 2 or 3 years, it's time to regroup. It's time to re-strategize. If it hadn't gotten you to a point where you're moving forward and you feel like you're still stuck, but you keep doing the same old stuff, if it's not working, guys, come on, let's stop doing it. Let's switch up. Hey, Michael, let's switch up and start doing something else. Because there's nothing wrong with admitting that what you're doing is not working. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I've been doing this way, and guess what? I've been wrong this whole time. That's maturity. That's when you know God is working on you. When you're willing to say, you know what, I was stubborn, And the reason I'm in this situation is because I was hard-headed and I didn't want to listen to anybody. That's when you get that reality check that's going to change your life. It is going to change your life. That's right, Michael, insanity. But we do that because sometimes we're so prideful. We're so prideful. And that's why I say sometimes we need to pray to God to help protect us from us. We have got to put that pride in its place and understand that nobody's perfect, not even you. So therefore, we all make mistakes, and there's nothing wrong with admitting your mistake, because when you admit it, guess what? You can do something different now. You can do something about it. A person that doesn't feel like they're doing anything wrong or doesn't feel like anything's wrong with them, they're not going to be quick to want to change because they just can't see it. And ask God to show you and say, God, show me where I'm wrong. Show me where I'm the problem, and mean it and be sincere about it, because guess what? That's when your change is going to come. You've got to be sincere. God ain't going to waste time playing with you. You've got to be sincere about it, and that's how you stop co-signing on the negative things that keep happening in your life. You have got to get real with you and say, God, this stuff happened for a reason, and guess what? I'm the common denominator. What is it about me that keeps attracting these things? What is it about me that keeps being weak about these things? What is it about me that keeps me going in a direction that I know I don't need to go? And God will reveal it to you. But you've got to be sincere and you've got to be honest about wanting that change. So start praying that God protects you from yourself, because we all got a lot of flaws. More than we can talk about in a 30-minute or an hour. We all have them, whether we want to admit them or not. That's right. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. And then number 10, that was 10. Number 11, stop overreacting and making your life harder than it needs to be. Sometimes we overreact out of, trauma from past experiences. And I said, God, you're going to have to help me with that. Help me not to be so overly sensitive about things simply because of what happened in my past. That is that and this is this, and help me separate the two and not punish somebody in my future for stuff that happened in my past. So I have to be careful that I'm not overreacting to things. I have to learn to lighten up about some things. There's nothing wrong with keeping your guard up. There's nothing wrong with keeping the spiritual eyes open and listening to the Holy Spirit when it's showing you something. But make sure you're not jumping to conclusions about things or maybe overreacting simply because you haven't healed from something from your past. And if you're still healing, be careful about stepping into a new relationship, because you need to make sure that you're not going to be somebody else's burden coming into their life. We all got our own stuff to deal with. If I'm not going to be a blessing when I come into your life, I don't want God to let me come into your life, because life is hard enough without another bag and another bag, somebody else's bags on top of my bags. I ain't got time for that. I'm sorting my own stuff. I'm cleaning out my own house. I'm getting rid of my own clutter. So therefore, somebody coming into my life need to be working on this. They need to be cleaning house too before they come to me. Don't bring all that mess and try to put it on top of me. I'm cleaning out. So don't try to clutter me back up. So make sure you're not overreacting, that you're not overthinking. Hi, Miss Marshall. Overthinking things and making your life harder than it needs to be, because sometimes you will miss your blessing just trying to think that you know so much. Somebody may be trying to come in and help you with something, but your little spidey senses and your little intuition is telling you, oh no, they just trying to see what I'm doing. They're just trying to be nosy, this, that, and the other. Make sure you go to God before you jump to conclusions, because God may have sent that person to help you with whatever you're doing. You got to be willing to let people in. So make sure that you're praying about that and not just overreacting over things. You got to be able to have a sense of humor in order to enjoy life. Just because, you've been hurt in the past, that doesn't mean you have to walk around with this hard shell on. It's okay to laugh again. It's okay to make jokes. It's okay to experience new things again. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there. If you're always worrying about being hurt again, you're never going to be able to live. Life is a gamble, especially when you're dealing with people. You know, people are just people. People are going to do people stuff. So there's really no guarantee ever that whoever you're dealing with is not going to hurt you in some way. So if you're walking through life never wanting to be hurt again, you're going to have to stay by yourself. So just dealing with people, dealing with the public, you're going to have to learn how to get what they say, broad shoulders or whatever, where they say you let things kind of roll off your back. You got to chill a little bit. Chill a little bit. And if you're not there yet, then keep to yourself and let God heal you a little bit more so that you will be a delight to be around. Nobody wants to be around somebody that you got to walk around on eggshells because you scared to say something. You scared to tell a joke. You know, she done been through this. I better not say nothing about this. I better not joke about that. Come on, let's get healed from this stuff so that we can enjoy life, you guys. And stop co-signing on all of the pain in your life. You got to have a time in your life when you say, enough is enough, God. God, I want to be healed. I want to be able to have fun. I want to be able to go out and enjoy people, meet new people without being suspicious, you know, of everybody just because of what I've gone through. So how do we co-sign on positive things? And we already talked about how to stop co-signing on the negative. Hey, Juanita, how do we co-sign on the positive? Number one, we need to stay in an attitude of gratefulness and thanksgiving. We all have something to be thankful for, to be grateful for. And, you know, just waking up in the morning, we take that for granted, y'all. We do. We have got to understand that God is our very breath. If he decides to take that breath away, you are out of here. He don't have to do it. He chooses to give us grace and mercy. So we need to be thankful for that, no matter what's going on in our life, no matter if it's going right or no matter who don't like us or who we don't like. It don't matter. You've got to learn how to be grateful. Grateful for what you have and grateful for the God that gave it to you. So learn to have an attitude of thanksgiving and gratefulness. And that way you're co-signing on the positive things that are happening in your life. So keep an attitude of gratefulness and be thankful for the small things. You know, somebody wishes they had what you had. You know, we're always comparing ourselves to other people. We need to stop that, because I look on my timeline, you guys, and I see things. I see, the other day I just had tears in my eyes because some of my friends have gone. You know, they've died for one reason or another, or they've had debilitating illnesses, you know, to where, you know, they are just sick now, you know, and it just breaks my heart because a few years ago, I look at my timeline and I can go back and look at pictures. They were having a good time, this, that, and the other. So we have got to understand that we need to be grateful for the time we have now, because we don't know what our future holds. We know where we're going if we're children of God. But as far as our life on this earth, we don't know how long we're going to be here and what shape we're going to be in. So we need to be grateful and thankful. And think about all those people right now that are homeless. You know, some places are just full of tents. Tents are everywhere in this hot heat, you guys. Think about this Texas heat we're having, and all the people out here in these shelters, all the people out here in the street. That's enough for you to be thankful for. If you got a roof, I don't care if it's a piece of a roof. If you've got something over your head, you've got food, you've got something to drink, you've got clothes, you need to be grateful. And you need to stop allowing the troubles of this world to bog you down and have you complaining all the time. Because guess what? When you're complaining all the time, you are co-signing on all of that stuff you're complaining about. Because 9 times out of 10, we made a decision that put all that stuff into play anyway, if we would be honest with ourselves. Somewhere down the line, we made a decision that's got us in this complaining mode. And the stuff we're complaining about, we had a part in it. We had a part in it. Some kind of way we had a part in it, if you be honest with yourself. Number 2, we need to focus on what's going right in our lives. And we need to put all our energy into what's going right. Yes, things are going to go wrong, you guys. Don't give it all your energy. Give that as little energy as possible. Focus all your positive energy, all your light into what is going right in your life. And then perfect that. Perfect what's going right. We can't help it that things don't always work out like we want them to. We got to cry our tears about it. We got to shake that off, and we got to keep it moving, because life goes on. Whether you sad and whether you hurt or whether you disappointed, life never stops. Life never stops, you guys. So we got to focus on what's going right, and we got to give it our all. And let's give it all of our energy. And number 3, learn to command your day. Case in point, this is my own personal. This morning, my co-worker's on vacation, you guys. So here I am, one nurse working for a busy doctor. She got a full schedule today. And nursing in a clinic is more than just getting the patients in the room and temperatures and shots and stuff like that. You also got the phones. You got now all these messages that come across your computer. You got people popping up at the front desk. You've got all this stuff going on. And they expect you to keep that afloat. They expect you to do it in a timely manner, even though you can only be in one place at one time. So I had to command my morning, because I knew that it was going to be a busy day. But you have to be careful what you say about yourself and what you say about your day. If you wake up and talk about, oh, it's going to be a hard day, it's going to be a bad day, guess what? You're going to get exactly what you say, boo-boo. Stop saying those things. Remind yourself that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's what I said this morning. I got up. I said, okay, Lord, let me get my coffee on. Let me get my mojo going. Let me try to get to work a little bit early so I can kind of get everything straightened out, get all my faxes where they need to be, line that up, figure out what I'm going to do, categorize stuff, prioritize stuff. And while it was a busy day, and I said, God, let my attitude be overflowing. Let my attitude be of gratefulness today. And everybody that I brought back and put in the rooms, I talked to them, I smiled. Even though I had a massive amount of work to do, I kept my attitude and my mind focused on what was important, which is what I was doing for God at that job. What I do for God is I be the light for those patients. I be the light for my co-workers. And that's what I had to do no matter what's going on. So I accentuated what was going right, which was my positive attitude, my smile, my talking to my patients, making my patients feel welcome. So that is what I put my focus into. The work was going to be there, but it was all about your mindset, And while it was busy, and it even got a little rocky in some places, I never lost my cool. I treated my patients like they were the only patients. I took my time with them, even though I had a million things I needed to do. And what I did is I said, you know what, Lord? You're going to help me figure out the rest of this, and I'm going to prioritize it. But for right now, let me make sure my patients have a good experience. Let me make sure they have everything they need. Since they came here to see the doctor, I said, I have to be the light. I have to give them a good experience and make sure that I'm doing what God has put me here to do. And as long as I keep my mind like that, come what may, like I say, it gets a little hairy. Don't get me wrong when you don't have enough staff, but you have to decide who you want to be in the situation. Hey, Sonia, I decided I wanted to be the light. I didn't want to be the complainer. I didn't want to be the one going around trying to make people feel sorry for me because of all of that work. My co-workers never heard a peep from me. All they saw was me going. Every time they saw me, I was drawing blood, putting patients in a room, talking to patients in the hall, hugging patients. They don't understand me. And that's okay, because I have to be an example for them, because I listen to them complain all day when even they don't really need to complain. So sometimes God will put you in a situation to show people how it's supposed to be done, but you have to command your day and say, God, you're going to have to help me, because the enemy is always going to come in because you're tired, you get frustrated, And the enemy wants you to go around snapping at people, being mean to patients, being really short tempered about things and rushing through things. That's how you make mistakes. But you have to decide who you want to be in the situation. And when I woke up this morning, I said, God, you have commanded me to be the light, and I command this day to get out of my way, because the light is coming. The light is coming. I said, that's who I'm going to be today, come what may. And whatever I don't get done today, I'll do it tomorrow. So you have to speak over yourself. Don't let the situation have you. You have the situation. You've got the power to speak your day and command your day to be what you want it to be. Yes, things are going to happen, but guess what? Your attitude don't have to change. Your spirit doesn't have to change. That's why I go into my job, and the first thing I do on my laptop is turn on Pandora, and I turn on praise and worship. And that plays all day. And that's a reminder. Hey, chick, that's a reminder to me that God is with me. I do that simply because there are times when things are getting a little bit rough. I need to know, okay, God, you with me. And seem like one of my favorite worship songs will be playing in the background. And just as my spirit is starting to get a little bit worked up, it'll calm it right back down, and I'll be able to do my work, and then it's just flawless. It's just going. So you have to set the mood for what you're trying to do. So that's how I set the atmosphere at my job, but I first have to set it before I leave the house. That means I command my day. I get up, I don't turn on news, none of that negative stuff, you guys. Stop turning on all that negative news and talking to people that want to gossip in the morning before you get to work. Cut that mess out. Command your day to be calm. Command your day to be peaceful. Command your spirit to be right, so that when you do leave your house, that you put a positive attitude out there, and not somebody that's out there making the world worse than it has to be. Because we need good people. We need people that are positive. We need people that make you smile when you see them, because life is hard. It's so much stuff going around, out here to make you cry. You need somebody that can make you smile, and somebody that can make you feel welcome and make you glad, that you showed up. And then number 4, speak into existence what you want to see happen in your life. And you keep speaking it until it comes to pass. Don't give up on it just because time has passed. God's timing and our timing is not the same. So don't give up on something simply because it hasn't happened for you in the time frame that you thought it would happen. Sometimes you're still in preparation phase. Sometimes God needs to get you where you need to be. You're not ready for it yet. You think you are, but you're really not ready for it yet. So sometimes he has to hold it back a little bit and make you wait for it. But keep speaking it into existence until it comes to pass. Number 5, recognize that you need God and acknowledge him in all that you do. And ask God for his guidance. A lot of times the fact that we're relying on our own selves to make decisions, our own wisdom, sometimes that gets us in trouble, you guys, because we just don't know enough. We don't know enough. And sometimes we go off of what we heard or from our life experiences. And sometimes we realize we don't really know a whole lot at all. Some of our stuff is just so limited, to the people that are like us, are so limited to the community that we grew up in. We don't know everything. That's why it's better to ask God for guidance than lean to our own understanding. And there's a scripture that tells us to trust God and not lean to our own understanding. And he says that for a reason, because we don't know everything. Number 6, avoid negative situations, avoid negative people, and avoid negative places. You have a choice where you go, where you put your feet. Nobody can make you go anywhere. You're not a slave. You're not bound. You're not tied up. Nobody's pulling you. We make choices to go places, do places, and be around people. Stop doing things with negative people. Stop going places where you don't feel welcome. Stop going places that make you feel uncomfortable. That uncomfortable feeling is God's way of saying, hey, maybe you don't belong here. And sometimes we'll just go anyway, and then you end up being miserable. You have a choice as to where you go, who you spend time with, and avoid those negative people. And then number 7, it's time for us to get organized, get focused, and come up with a plan. And when you come up with a plan, you need to follow your plan. Don't just keep talking about what you want to do. Come up with a plan and do it. Hi, Miss Christelle. Come up with a plan and do it. Follow through. Follow through. You'll feel so good when you see yourself making one step after another step after another. That's why planning is so important. Planning is essential for you to reach your goal. If you don't plan, any and every little wind that blows is going to throw you off course. And before you know it, something that should have took you 2 months, it's going to end up taking you 6 months. Something that took you 6 months, it's going to end up taking you a year because you did not plan. You were not focused. You were not serious about it. We got to get serious about what we want to see happen in our lives. Number 8, recognize that there will be good days and not so good days. And we have to commit to not falling apart in between. Every day is not going to be Sunday. Some days, you're going to feel like you're on top of the world. And some days the world going to feel like it's on top of you. But the thing about it is, just know that it's temporary. Trouble don't last always. Just understand that whatever's not going right now, it's going to turn around if you keep the faith and you keep moving forward. So don't give up. Don't fall apart just because you hit a bad time. Just understand that that's temporary. And all you got to do is just keep going because it's going to pass. It's going to pass. Number 9, always invest in improving yourself. That's money that will never be wasted. And I'm learning that about myself. Invest in you. Invest in something that makes you a better person. Invest in something that lifts your spirits. That money is never wasted. We invest in other things. We invest in other people. But if you invest in yourself, you're always going to get a return. You're always going to get a good return. So just remember that you have to be the first one to invest in yourself. And when you start investing in you and you start changing, you start doing better, other people are going to be willing to invest in you as well. Number 10, pay it forward. What you do for others, God will do for you. So just because you're not where you want to be right now, start paying it forward. You see somebody that's trying to make it and they're taking steps and they're a little bit ahead of you, support them. See what you can do to help them. Pay it forward because you never know by helping them now what they might be able to do for you later. God has a way of never letting you outdo him. So what you do for other people, God is going to do for you. He's going to make sure you have what you need. Number 11, forgive people quickly, you guys. Stop holding grudges. When you don't forgive people quickly, you allow Satan to put a seed down in your spirit. And that seed is going to grow. It's going to grow a root. And do you know how hard it is to get a root out after it's been there for a long period of time? Anybody garden, anybody do yard work? Y'all know how those roots are thick and they just never seem to end. You just pulling and digging and it never seems to end. That's what happens to your spirit, man, when you don't learn to forgive people quickly. That bitter root gets down in you and it's going to be HE double hockey sticks to get it out. And it's not worth it. Learn to accept that people are flawed. You're flawed. And when you can make up your mind that everybody's not perfect, you can learn to forgive people quicker. Stop expecting so much from everybody. Stop putting people up on a pedestal. There is nobody in my life that I have on a pedestal right now. And God had to really help me with that. Everybody in my life, as far as I'm concerned, is on the level with me. They ain't no better. They ain't doing nothing greater. I'm going to keep them on the level with me because I don't want to make the mistake of putting you way up there. And then when you do disappoint me or when you do hurt me, it devastates me. We put people up there. Nobody should be in that position to be honored like that, to be reverenced like that, but God. But we put flawed, sinful man in positions where they don't need to be in our life. And then we wonder why we're so hurt. And then we wonder why we have a hard time forgiving them, because we keep forgetting that they're human. We keep forgetting that they're flawed. We keep forgetting that the enemy uses them just like he uses us. And so therefore we got to stop putting people in such high regards to where that when they make a mistake and disappoint us, it throws our whole life off track. That's us co-signing on that by doing that. So we've got to learn to forgive people quickly so that that bitter root doesn't get down off in your heart. And so remember, when you choose bitterness, unforgiveness, you co-sign on unhappiness and lack of peace. When you choose to ignore the voice of God, you co-sign on being lost and confused. When you decide that you're not going to control your spending, that is your money, you can do what you want to do with it, you're not going to budget, you co-signing on financial debt, slavery, and financial instability. When you ignore your body, you co-sign on your body deteriorating. You co-sign on sickness and poor health. And when you ignore the red flags, you co-sign on pain and misery. So those are the things we co-sign on, you guys, whether consciously or subconsciously. My final thought is, regardless of what we have consciously or subconsciously co-signed on in the past, today is a new day. Today is another chance to get it right. Today is the day to tell God that I'm sorry for co-signing and agreeing on all that mess in my past, all those disappointments and heartaches and pain in my past. I'm sorry. I co-signed on that. I made decisions, without consulting God. I made decisions out of anger. I made decisions out of my emotions. I made decisions out of desperation. And God, I'm sorry for that. And this is a new day. So God, help me to speak and act and co-sign on the things that I want to see come to pass in my future. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Stay hydrated. Stay out of this heat if you can. And I will see you guys next week. And remember, we have a special event. We're going to have a real estate symposium, so to speak. It's going to be on a Saturday, August the 12th, with Michael Allen, one of the realtors here in Tyler. And he's going to give us some useful information, you guys. We got to level up. Those of you that don't have a house and you want to buy a house or buy real estate, you need to be on this symposium so that you can ask questions. And Michael's going to come in his own way, and he's got some stuff, some answers to some things that you might want to know. So make sure that you support that. Make sure that you jump on. It's going to be August the 12th. You'll see advertisements on the page, so you just jump in. It's going to be a live feed just like this, and we look forward. Is it Cobble Tea? Hi, Cobble Tea. Thank you for joining, and you are welcome. And it's great to see you guys. I love you guys, and y'all keep it moving. We got places to go. We got things to do. Sister, I got you. We're going to keep going higher and higher, and we want to see everybody be blessed. We want to see everybody reach their potential. Y'all take care, and God bless. Bye.